Morning, Papa Ron. We're doing this kind of early. Well, early for me anyway. I don't get up till 10.
We are, Rod, and I had a valid reason to get in here and visit with you.
Yeah, I know you do. You got all your kids there.
My land, man. Kids and grandkids, and all they want you to do is cook and clean after them and all that stuff. And hey, but interesting thing, and I was going to bring one in to show you, Rod. You've seen him, though. You know, folks, and again, I'm not trying to take time up here, but my wife passed away 8 years, and up at her gravesite, we just went and found a big old rock for her headstone and took it to a headstone guy and had him engrave it. But the kids and grandkids and some of Theta's dearest friends started collecting heart-shaped rocks from everywhere. I'm talking everywhere. And they've been putting these heart-shaped rocks around her gravesite, and a lot of them they've painted and then put messages in there. They paint messages of love and this and that. But it's been a few years now, and some of them have started to fade and come off, and then they put Mod Podge over those paintings to preserve them with the weather. Well, the kids were up there, and there's a lot of them, I guess, is starting to wear off, so they went and gathered a bunch of them, and they're repainting all those rocks this morning, Rod.
Oh, that's nice.
Them, and yeah, it's such a unique thing because you go to all the heads, and we're in an old pioneer graveyard. You know, it ain't all lined with streets. It's an old pioneer thing, but nobody has these heart-shaped rocks. It's really a unique thing when you see it, and you've seen it, Rod.
Yeah, I have.
It's just so colorful and cool and different. Anyway, I like. So that's what they're all doing. I thought, well, I'm going to slip in here with Rod and do a video real quick. Have you been watching prices or not?
Hey, of course I have, man. It's really getting up there, brother. I can't believe it goes up so freaking fast.
$25 under 10,000 again.
I know. Unbelievable.
One of the articles we have today, Rod, said, and this guy, of course, he's speculating like everybody else, but he says he thinks that May will be the last time we'll ever see Bitcoin below 10,000 again.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt that at all. Of course, anytime anybody talks about going up, I always agree with them. Yes, that's right.
And look, yeah, you're right. And look at somebody. Look at what Litecoin's up to already again.
Oh my gosh, I know, 180 bucks.
I know. That's great. It's good.
It's awesome.
We're excited about it, but folks, you know, and I don't know history or charting, or we don't know any of that stuff, but I would suspect once this crosses over 10 Bitcoin, we'll probably see another pullback. We'll probably see people taking profits and cashing out some, and so it could be expected. I don't think we're going to have and I might be totally wrong, but anyway, I would think there'll be another pullback somewhere after 10.
Yeah, let's hope the pullbacks are after 100 grand.
I don't mind pullbacks if they range about 20 or 25 bucks.
Yeah. That won't happen.
So when they drop 300-400 or $1,000, it's like, oh, more. Anyway.
Well, you know, Bitcoin was up to almost 20 grand here, you know, back in December, January, and then all of a sudden it went down to about 8. It was more than just a grand pullback.
And you know, and I think there's been valid reasons along the way, and I think there's valid reasons why we're increasing now, and that's kind of what this video deals with a little bit, is that there's things happening in the market, folks, and we hate to keep repeating the same record over and over, but man, liquidate stuff you don't need and invest in your future.
Yeah,
the time is now.
Now. Right on, Catch-a-tone.
I had one of my daughters call me, and she's got a new friend, and he had watched a video or two of mine that she had told him about, and of ours, and anyway, they're interested, but I just don't think they really catch the vision. I think we do, Rod, because we're looking at this stuff almost every day. Not just the prices. we're trying to figure out what's going on, and it is growing like crazy. Matter of fact, maybe we ought to get into it.
Yeah, let's get into it.
We're just going to use a couple of headlines and some articles maybe to preface this. Bitcoin is on the rise and can no longer be ignored.
Right.
I don't know who this Brian Kelly is. You probably read that, Rod, but
he's the founder and CEO of BKCM LLC, whoever that is.
Yeah, I didn't look at him. But he says the days of regulating Bitcoin to the background, interesting, regulating Bitcoin to the background of the financial market is over.
Yep.
The number one cryptocurrency has been on a resurge and can no longer be ignored. And that number one crypto, Rod, he's talking about is Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And we have been kind of on the Bitcoin path too, because we believe, since it's got so much infrastructure, so much name recognition. I mean, when you talk about crypto, everybody uses cryptocurrency and Bitcoin interchangeably. Bitcoin is crypto, and crypto is so.
Yeah.
It just makes
that is so true.
Yeah, it just makes sense that that's going to continue to go up.
Well, something you've always said, and it's so true, that Bitcoin is a tide. You know, if the tide rises, everything else goes rising because the boat rises. You know, boats set in water. And
yeah, I heard that from Cliff High actually, and he said that high tide raises all boats. That was a quote he had said back in, I don't know, November, December, maybe even earlier than that.
Oh, it was earlier than that. I remember you've been saying it since I got into it.
It's been kind of interesting because, and you see that if you look at the market cap, it kind of follows suit, doesn't it?
It does. It really does. It is a tide mover.
Matter of fact, in this article, he talks about this executive with Goldman Sachs, Raina Yard, declared that Bitcoin is not a fraud. Total opposite of what they've been
preaching
all along, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is that same article that talks about May might be the month that you'll never see Bitcoin below 10,000 again.
Wow.
Interesting.
Then
the second article headline, read it for us, will you, Rod?
Blockchain moves into the top spot of the hottest job skills. Blockchain developed is now the hottest skill in the freelance job market, growing more than 6,000%. Holy Hannah! Since this time last year, and putting it on the pace of a new cloud, the 21st century, according to the new report. Man, that is something else. I can't believe it.
Well, we've
6,000%, but 6,000.
Well, he explains a little more. He says blockchain appears to be the next uncharted, highly talked about technology, similar to what the cloud was back in the mid-2000s. Its growth exceeded 2,000% for 3 quarters, talking about blockchain.
Yeah.
2,000% for 3 quarters in a row. And in quarter one of this year, it's experienced more than 6,000% year-over-year growth.
Oh, my hell.
And this article had a lot of information in it, Rod, about, and we've used other articles about where some of these big banks are, they're also trying, they're trying to hire all these blockchain coders and it says here, blockchain technologists are advertising their services for as much as $250 per hour.
Oh, man, I wish I was a young man again and getting into this. That's the kind of job I'd get.
And back then, Rod, you were a big computer guru in your early days when you were really into this stuff.
Oh, my heck, yeah, man. We had computers as big as this house, man. And it didn't have any memory. It had tapes. We had rooms to see. Tapes to just run. That was our memory.
Yeah.
and I had to do everything. I had to learn programming by punch cards. Just
Those index cards, you put it in the machine
and it punches holes in it.
Yeah.
And it read the light as it went through, passes these things. And man, it was a bear to if you made a mistake, find out which card you made a mistake on, because you'd have thousands of these things all lined up in a tray, and it's read them. It was something else, man.
I remember that too.
Oh yeah.
Says here the median income for full-time blockchain developers in the U.S. is $140,000 a year. It's not something, if you got that kind of skill or technology, it's worth looking into because it's only going to get bigger.
Yep.
Many of today's Fortune 500 companies are already doing this, meaning they're looking for coders and all that. The adoption of flexible workers with increasing as hiring gets harder.
Yeah.
And it says here the top 20 fastest growing skills in 2018. Number 1 is blockchain.
Look at that. Isn't that amazing?
I mean, it just shows you where this stuff's headed. Banks are moving toward blockchain in droves, and we know that. Ripple's out there so proactive with their program and all.
Ripple and EOS. But
it says here that MasterCard is launching its own blockchain-based network. JP Morgan Chase last October rolled out blockchain pilot program, and it just goes on and on. This stuff really is moving. And then, I don't know, Rod, do you know who Jim Sinclair is? I don't know if many folks do. I think Rod does.
I don't know.
Jim Sinclair's a big gold, precious metals guy. I mean, for years and years. He doesn't live in the U.S. anymore. I can't remember the country he lives in. I mean, it's like...
Wait, he didn't want to pay taxes on his gold?
Very well could be. Just tired of the way our system runs here. Who knows? Yeah. We were talking about that earlier. It's just so frustrating. But Jim Sinclair has been writing articles about precious metals and stuff for years, and that's where his focus has been. He's in the gold market. His name is known. Been in it for a long time, and a lot of prediction. And he writes an article. He wrote one today, and his commentary is on Goldman Sachs. He calls it the workforce article. And he starts right off, Rod. Banks need to be prepared for the reset. Now, folks, if any of you guys scan the current events on the internet, there's so much about the reset coming, that there's going to be a financial reset. And they're not all saying it's going into crypto, but they're just saying we're due because of our debt to income. That didn't sound right. We just carry so much debt, even as people and as governments, and that there's going to be a reset to get the valuation, not so much of the dollar anymore, but there's just got to be a change. So
it's just like the stock market now has been the highest it's ever been. And when Bitcoin went up high, there's always a reset. And they know this. It's just part of the cycle.
Yes, but they've been trying to keep it under control. We're talking about a major reset that'll have a global, probably economic collapse involved.
Yeah.
And it's going to reset all the values of everything. They got to nip this debt in the bud. I mean, the debt takes what? Over 50% now of all money that the government gets goes to interest on the national debt. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. And it grows all the time because they just can't stop spending.
Well, just quit counting and just go through it blindly. Isn't that what they're doing now?
Pretty much. Look at all the money they can't even find anymore. We're talking trillions of dollars in the military. They don't even know where it went.
I know.
All these black projects and stuff, and there's no accountability anywhere. Yeah. Anyway, it says it makes perfect sense for banks to hire computer programmers. So he's talking about Goldman Sachs. 25% now of their workforce is computer programmers.
Yeah, that's amazing, isn't it?
It is. And they're talking in this article that, hey, they are gearing up for the transition into a cashless digital society and global financial system.
Yeah.
And whether it be crypto, which Jim Sinclair, even though he's a gold guy, he says right in here, cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology is going to be one of the things that's going to take force. So Goldman Sachs and these banks, he says, to gear up for that, they hire way in advance. They're not way in advance, but they hire programmers to gear up for it. Mm-hmm. And he says they had one thing here that it was called they're market makers. Now that's an interesting term. He says Goldman Sachs has shrunk their market makers from a workforce of 500 down to 3.
3, yeah.
So what's a market maker? Doesn't that sound a little fishy to you too? I make the markets, I set them, I manipulate them, I control them. I don't know, but anyway. And he says what they're gearing up to now, they have, I think didn't somewhere in the article, Rod, says they're looking to hire like 9,000.
Oh, yeah, it's right there.
Programmers or something? I mean.
Yeah, you had it highlighted right there, see? Oh, I'm pointing to it.
Why would 9,000 programmers and state-of-the-art technology be needed when the financial institution is shrinking an area of business focus? So he says if everything is transitioned, why would they need 9,000 more programmers? Because they know what's coming and they're gearing up for it. And then the last thing that kind of is the title of this whole article, it's about Coinbase. Top crypto exchange Coinbase prepares for a monster increase in trading.
Yeah. And this is on CNBC.
Yeah. Says Coinbase has increased its transaction capacity by 1,000% year over year. So every year Coinbase has been in business, every year they've increased the transaction size and capabilities by 1,000%.
Ooh.
You don't think these people know where this thing is headed?
And that's why they charge so much.
Well, yeah, and it says here again that they're gearing up for institutional investors that come in with the big money.
Mm-hmm. Of course, we've been reporting that all along.
Yeah. Anyway, folks, we've probably overstayed our welcome, but I just can't stress enough. Just like with my kids, dang it. You know, if you're looking at this, get your ducks in a row and get into it while the prices are good, because there'll be a time where you'll just be buying fractions of coins instead of whole ones. Because
I've been doing that for all along.
that's based on our income.
Our ducks weren't never in a row.
Yeah.
Mainly because we got in it so late. I would love to be a young man now and, oh boy, gotten into this. I can't cry over spilt milk. I'm glad I lived the life we lived.
Sure.
I enjoyed my life.
But this is just an opportunity for people to be able to make themselves financially better and more whole in the future. They'll be able to pay off debt. And I'm not saying buy toys again, but you know, it's a time you can plan for your children, for something beneficial for them, and everything will be good. Well, it won't be good because we're still looking at war and financial collapse and everything else, but it's a good time. Get into it while you can.
I agree, you know.
Back to you, Rod.
Yeah, I was just sitting there thinking about my life. But you got me all thinking about it. Nostalgia, you know. It was good, you know. I got a quote. I found this quote the other day. I gotta say this. And you, all you people that don't like guns and stuff, I'm sorry. But this says that Bruce Jenner can keep his if Bruce Jenner can keep his winger and be considered a woman, I can keep my firearm and be considered disarmed. I like that quote. People give us a thumbs up and appreciate you. And there's always humor in this life if you look for it. God bless.